Hey, welcome back to another episode of the MC Show. Did you guys really think that I was gonna go out of my way to not give you a recap of the trade deadline? I would never do that to you guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to give y'all information, and information I will give. Okay? We are here to recap the trade deadline. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any sort of support is greatly appreciated. Let's get this video out to as many people as possible. You feel me what I'm saying? Thank you as always. Okay. Trade deadline. The way I thought the trade deadline would go went exactly as I sort of expected. I didn't expect any star players, superstar players to be moved. I expected a lot of teams to try to fortify their bench, try to add depth as much as they can in order to make a championship run. Now, not all teams made trades that you thought were going to make trades, so we'll talk about those teams. But we're going to talk about, I think there's 15 trades. We're not going to go through every single one because some of them are just like not worthy of being talked about really, but we're going to talk about some trades, and then we're going to talk about the teams that didn't make trades. So let's get started. First, we probably have to talk about the winners of the trade deadline, the New York Knicks. I have the information pulled up right here. So the Knicks trade Quentin Grimes, Ryan Arcidiacono. I know some of y'all probably don't even know who those are, but Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, two future second round picks to the Pistons for Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. I mean, like you can't say anything bad about this trade at all for the Knicks. You're getting Bojan Bogdanovic, who is 40% from three. You're getting Alec Burks, who has been on a heater from three lately. If you look at the Pistons box scores, he's been hitting like 7 out of 10 from three, scoring like 30 points off the bench for the Pistons. And maybe people don't know that because nobody watches the Pistons because they're really, really bad. But to get those guys to come off your bench, add a bunch of shooting around Jalen Brunson and eventually Julius Randle when he comes back, it's a really good trade for them. It adds a lot of depth. It adds a lot of depth to their team already. Their starting lineup, when everybody's healthy, because remember Julius Randle has a shoulder injury and Mitchell Robinson had the ankle or the foot, so he's been out. He might be out for the rest of the season. He might come back, but assuming everybody's healthy and comes back from injury, you're gonna have Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, who's like shooting the lights out right now for the Knicks. Someone who he's taking like 10 threes and he's hitting like 6-7 of them a night. Now he's been playing really well. But you have those two. You have OG Anunoby. Obviously, he's been a really good pickup. He had surgery on his elbow that's been bothering him for a while. But the All-Star break is next week, so he'll miss up to like about 3 weeks. So he won't miss too many games due to the fact that the All-Star break is coming up. But you have OG and then Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson. And off the bench, you're going to have who? You're going to have Isaiah Hartenstein, who might be the best backup center in the league. You're going to have Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks. You're going to have Josh Hart. Like, you can go 9 deep. Usually in the playoffs, you might go 7, 8 deep. But for them to have like 9 good rotation players to play throughout the regular season and some in the playoffs, it's just a W trade for them. This is a really good trade. They can shoot, and Jalen Brunson's been playing like a superstar, so this is a really good trade for them. I think, like the way their team is constructed, I think they probably could go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I assume Boston will probably be there because they're just a machine. Their offense is too good and their defense is just amazing. But the Knicks, the way they're set up, the way they're playing right now, I know they're injured, but once they get fully healthy, I don't see why they can't. I think I think they're better now than they were before the deadline for sure. And then for the Pistons, just a bunch of players, 2 players who's not part of the future, get rid of them, whatever. You get back some pieces. Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, like nobody here is like of really like importance. Ryan Arcidiacono actually got waived, so he's gone. Quentin Grimes is like an interesting young player, so maybe he could develop there, but nothing too major for them. Now the Mavs are another team. Some people were a little iffy on their trades. They made two. We'll first start with the Daniel Gafford trade. Well, Daniel Gafford goes from the Wizards, goes to the Dallas Mavericks for Rashawn Holmes and I believe a first round pick, if I remember correctly. Yeah, a 2024 first round pick. I think the one iffy thing about the trade is you're trading a first round pick for a guy who's going to play backup center. But otherwise, in terms of the player that they got, Daniel Gafford is a really good center. They played that yesterday, actually. They spanked OKC, like really bad. They destroyed OKC. Daniel Gafford, 19 points, like 9 rebounds. He's a good defender. His ability to get rebounds, he's tough, he fights, he catches lobs, he's extremely athletic. They've been needing a backup center the entire season, and they got a really good one who could back up Derek Lively when Derek Lively's off the bench. So having Derek Lively obviously as a lob threat and someone who get rebounds, who's extremely athletic, and then having someone who can do that as well. To basically, you're gonna have 48 minutes of someone who can catch lobs, who's extremely athletic, and who can block shots. And with someone like playing with Luka, it's an absolute W trade for them. For the second trade is the Grant Williams trade. The Grant Williams, who was their big signing this summer, who you thought would be like your prototypical 3-and-D guy. And he started off the season pretty well, but lately he just hasn't been playing good. I don't know if the locker room stuff was, an issue, but they ended up trading him, Seth Curry, to the Charlotte Hornets for PJ Washington and 2 second-round picks, 2024 and 2028. I thought some people are down on PJ Washington, and I understand. Sometimes he looks like he hasn't improved that well, but he is a floor spacer. He is athletic. He can attack off the dribble. He also played in last night's game versus OKC, and you saw he was cutting to the basket, being able to move without the ball. He could stand in the corner, and Luka's gonna find you. That's the one benefit of obviously playing in Dallas is Luka has the ball in his hands. He's such a terrific passer, and he can find you. So PJ Washington just standing in the corner and Luka finding him for open threes. Him be able to get to the basket, attack closeouts, all those things. It fortifies their bench. He can start as well. I think this was also a really good move for them. I think the one thing that might be a little skeptical is you want PJ Washington to be a good defender. He hasn't shown it with Charlotte he can be a great defender, and that's what Dallas needs. Dallas is not a good defensive team. You need defensive versatility, especially in the front court. You're going against LeBron and Kevin Durant and Zion Williamson and all these great players that play in the 3, 4, 5 spot. So PJ Washington, if he can become a good defender, buy in on defense, then I think this was even more of a home run trade for the Dallas Mavericks than people are really giving them credit for. So I think it's a good trade for them. Okay, the Oklahoma City Thunder is the next team I want to talk about. They made one trade. They get Gordon Hayward from the Hornets. The Hornets is just getting rid of everybody. I mean, they suck anyways. They should definitely be getting rid of everybody. But you have the Thunder. I have all the trades put up here, by the way. I don't know if I said that already. But you have OKC getting Gordon Hayward from the Thunder. Hornets are getting Trey Mann, Bertans, Micic, and 2 second-round picks, 2024, 2025. The OKC Thunder, obviously, I don't know if they're number 1 or number 2 in the West because they keep moving back and forth. Actually, I lied. I saw yesterday, because they're on a 2-game losing streak, they had dropped down to 4. So they're now 4th in the West. But they've been playing fantastic all year. They're one of the few teams in the league that are top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing like an MVP candidate. We all know that. Chet Holmgren is good. Jalen Williams is good. The young guys are playing fantastic. I think that people around the league wanted them to add size because they're not a big team. They're not a good rebounding team. But Gordon Hayward, I think the Gordon Hayward is still good. Like he was in Charlotte, so nobody may have noticed, but he's averaging. He can give you like 15, 5, and 5, which is good numbers. Like he's still a productive player. The only problem the past few seasons have been the fact that he's always been injured. But when he plays and when he played in Charlotte, he's been a really, really productive player. And so having that productive player in your rotation, he's one of the few people on the team that have real playoff experience. Having him come off the bench most likely, and then he probably might even close some games for them. He just does a little bit of everything. He's not the biggest guy. He's 6'8", so he's probably gonna play the 3, or maybe he's more of a 4 now, to be honest. But a small ball 4. But I think he fits well. I think he's malleable. He doesn't need to have the ball in his hands. He can play off the ball. I think this is a really good trade for them. Just giving them another chance to compete. They're a young team, so it's not like we have to go all in to win the championship right now, but. Just give OKC, give Shea another weapon to be able to use so you can get as far as you can in the playoffs. So, really good trade for them. The Sixers made a couple moves. The first move, this move is not really that important, but they had Daniel House, traded him to the Pistons. They're waiving him. They got a second-round pick out of it, whatever. The trade that's more important is the one where they get Buddy Hield. So, Buddy Hield, who... And we all know asked for a trade way early on in the season because him and the Indiana Pacers couldn't come to a contract agreement. But Sixers get him. Pacers get Furkan Korkmaz, Doug McDermott, 2 seconds. And it's a 3-team trade, by the way. The Spurs get Marcus Morris and a 2029 second-round pick. Buddy Hield obviously has past, 7 years, been one of the best shooters in the NBA. Steph obviously is in a class of his own, but in terms of who the best shooters have been in the past 7 years, Buddy Hield, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry, for sure have been the 3 best shooters in the past few seasons. They obviously don't have Embiid because of the knee injury, so I think that Buddy Hield, they just need someone who can score. Obviously, Embiid is averaging 36 points. You're missing a big chunk of your offense. So they just needed somebody who could put the ball in the basket. Buddy Hield can do that. He can give you 7 threes on any given game. Backcourt, defensively, I'm not sure because you're going to have Maxey and Buddy Hield. In the playoffs, I don't think that's gonna work against teams that hunt mismatches like Miami. Jimmy Butler is gonna hunt him every time. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown for Boston. So defensively, obviously, it might be an issue. But in terms of just they need scoring to try to not fall too far in the standings. They're 5th right now. You don't want them to fall all the way to 7, 8. So I think it's a good trade for them. I think it's a nice trade. Pacers, they get Doug McDermott, obviously a good shooter from the Spurs. Furkan Korkmaz, he's getting waived, so he doesn't matter. And then Marcus Morris, I believe, is also going to get waived. So from the Spurs, the Spurs just get a second-round pick. The third move that they made was they swapped point guards with Milwaukee. They send Patrick Beverley to the Milwaukee Bucks. Cameron Payne goes from the Bucks to the 76ers. 76ers also get a second-round pick in that deal. For the Bucks, because I believe this is the only trade the Bucks made. The Bucks, what is their biggest problem? I've said it before. They suck defensively. The point of attack defense is not good at all. Patrick Beverley helps with that a little bit, but how much does he help with that? I'm not sure. Obviously, he gives a lot of energy. He's always talking. He's always giving 110% effort. So he'll definitely help. Will he close games for them? Will you have a starting lineup, a closing lineup, I should say, of Dame, Patrick Beverley, Giannis, Chris, and Brook Lopez? Maybe. We'll see. But I don't know if this move specifically is enough to fix their defense. One player can't fix the defense. And Patrick Beverley, as good as he is defensively, I don't think he's enough to fix their defense. So it sucks for them. And Cameron Payne is just a guy, and like Cameron Payne's not someone you would expect to get a lot of playoff minutes, but throughout the regular season, he's a serviceable guy. So nothing too important there. The Suns fortifying their bench. 3-team trade. The Suns get Royce O'Neal from the Nets, David Roddy from the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies get Chimezie Metu, Yuta Watanabe, 2026 first round pick swap, and the Nets they get Jordan Goodwin, the draft rights to, I don't even know who this is. I can't pronounce his name. But they get 3 future second round picks. For the Suns, again, this is all about fortifying their bench. Royce O'Neal obviously played with Durant in Brooklyn. He could do a little bit of everything. He's not a big guy. He basically acts as a power forward. He plays the 4, but he's really like 6'4", 6'5". He's not that big, but he does a little bit of everything. He can defend well. He can pass the ball. His playmaking is a little underrated. Sometimes you can look at the box score. You could be like, oh, Royce O'Neal has 6 assists. Like you may not think Royce O'Neal can pass the ball, but he does a little bit of playmaking. He moves the ball well, which is a good thing, and he can shoot 3. Prototypical 3-and-D wing player that every team in the NBA wants. So they get that. I don't think this is really anything important for the Grizzlies or the Nets. You get a couple players, you get a couple draft picks, whatever. Is that the last big trade? The Nets also traded Spencer Dinwiddie. If you didn't know, Spencer Dinwiddie did not want to be in Brooklyn anymore. He hated it there. So they traded Spencer Dinwiddie to the Raptors. Dennis Smith Jr., Dennis Schroeder, and Thaddeus Young go to the Nets. Spencer Dinwiddie got waived, and actually yesterday got picked up by the Lakers. So Spencer Dinwiddie is now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Dennis Smith and Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young is going to get brought out. Dennis Schroeder is on the team, so he's a point guard. The Nets aren't really a competitive team like that. They're not making the playoffs, so not a big deal. Spencer Dinwiddie just wanted to leave, and they traded him. The Raptors getting Kelly Olynyk from the Utah Jazz, also getting Ochai Agbaji. The Jazz getting Otto Porter Jr., Kira Lewis Jr., and a first-round pick 2024. I thought this was an okay trade. I don't think this is anything special. Kelly O, obviously, is a good player. He can stretch the floor. He can pass. He's big, 6'11". Obviously, his defense is the one thing that holds him back. But he's gonna be a free agent at the end of the year, and I guess Toronto. I mean, they're not gonna be competitive really for a few years. Maybe they want to re-sign him because they like him, just to add to their team for the to help Scotty Barnes, who is their future, their best player, their star player. Ochai Agbaji hasn't really worked out in Utah or Cleveland for that matter. I mean, he got drafted by Cleveland, but he was part of the Donovan Mitchell trade, of course. Maybe you just take a flyer on him. Maybe you can develop him into something. Maybe not. Who knows? But the Jazz get a couple players, whatever. And the 2024 first round pick is the reason why they get the trade. So I think it's okay for both teams. I don't think it's anything to really talk about. The Wolves get Monte Morris from the Pistons. The Pistons letting everybody go. They get Monte Morris from the Pistons. Timberwolves send Troy Brown Jr., Shake Milton, 2030 second round pick. The Wolves have been needing a backup point guard. I bet you Tyus Jones was someone they wanted, but they probably couldn't get him. So they pivot and they move to get Monte Morris, who was a decent backup point guard. He's fine. And you send a couple players in your rotation to the Pistons who were not playing. So that's fine. Trade for them. The Celtics trade for Xavier Tillman, a backup big for the what's their name? The Memphis Grizzlies. I thought this is a fine trade as well. He is a good player. He can rebound. He can defend really well. he has a knee injury right now, so I know he's out. They Miami and the Celtics play today, so I know he won't play today for sure. But just adding depth to their bench. They were like I think the one weakness you could look at in the Celtics team is they don't have good depth, especially in the front court. So just adding Xavier Tillman, who could play, he won't play big minutes, but someone who you could give some time to throughout the regular season, maybe in the playoffs. So I thought that was a fine trade for them. Just getting somebody on your team, getting talent on your team is fine. But that's about it for the teams that made trades or all the important stuff. Like I said, all these trades were for fortifying benches, adding depth. I didn't expect star players to get traded. The one person I did get traded, and now we could pivot to a team that didn't make any moves, is one, the Atlanta Hawks. You would expect DeJounte Murray to get traded, but no trades for Atlanta Hawks. I don't know, were they 10th? Hold on. Let me check right now. They're 10th in the East, 24 and 29. They're just in the middle, and they've been in the middle for a few years now. Ever since they made the conference finals in 2021, which we should give them credit for. I don't see a lot of y'all giving credit to Trae Young for leading his team to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021. Give that man credit, okay? But they trade for DeJounte Murray. The fit hasn't worked too well. DeJounte Murray always looks better when Trae Young is not on the floor, so it's hard for them to coexist really. DeAndre Hunter is someone who you thought would turn to be a really good player, but he hasn't. He's just been injury riddled and hasn't really made the necessary leaps. Jalen Johnson has. So if the Atlanta Hawks want to move on and find a future in a player or two, I guess Trae Young and Jalen Johnson are two guys who you can say proudly, okay, we can build around these two. But Clint Capella, I bet contenders would want Clint Capella, someone who could rebound, block a lot of shots, catch lobs. They could have traded him. Also, Bogdanovich is probably a 6-man of the year candidate. He's been fantastic for the Hawks off the bench. But they decided to stand pat. They're one of the few teams I saw that didn't make any moves that was interesting to me. But if they want to be in the middle, let them be in the middle, right? Now, the team that was rumored to get DeJounte Murray, the Los Angeles Lakers, another team that made 0 moves. I think maybe it wasn't worth it. Maybe it was. To me, I think getting DeJounte Murray would be nice, but how much of a needle mover right now will it be? The what are they? The Lakers are 9th right now. They're 2.5 games behind Dallas for 8th. Again, he definitely would have helped. If the Atlanta Hawks wanted Austin Reeves, I would understand why the deal never got through, because you don't want to trade Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has been really good for the Lakers. The trade would probably have to center around D'Angelo Russell and some of their other players, but they're in the team that didn't make any moves. Could they still make the playoffs? I wouldn't be surprised, but they definitely could have used some help. Now, the summer isn't here yet, so I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the Lakers can trade up to 3 first-round picks starting in the summer. Right now, they can only trade 1, but after the season's over and a new league year starts, I believe on July 1st, they could trade 3 first-round picks. So maybe the Hawks and the Lakers, they come back together and they start discussing maybe for DeJounte Murray again. So nothing now, but in the summer, we'll see. Golden State Warriors, I mean, they traded Corey Joseph, and he's sitting at the end of their bench. He doesn't really play, whatever. But they didn't make any moves. Again, they're a team, like, what move could they make that would dramatically affect their season? Like there to me, there is no trade that they could have made to really change their season. They're 10th in the West. They just won their fourth straight game after Stephen Curry hit a game-winning three versus Phoenix last night. That was a really good game. But they're 10th. They're I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. They will have to go on a crazy run, and the teams in front of them would have to fall dramatically. There's no trade that they could have made. Andrew Wiggins is the one guy who with your trade chip, but he's been so down bad this season that like, what's the point of trading him to a team that would like? What player is gonna significantly that you can get back for Andrew Wiggins that's gonna significantly boost your chances of getting back to the finals? There is none. I was fine with them not making any moves. Minnesota, obviously they got a backup point guard. The Clippers made their move. 20 they're second in the West, half a game for first in the West actually, so they're really close. But the Clippers, they made their move. They got James Harden in November. They've been like 25-5 since December 1st. They made their move. They're fine. Denver, they didn't make a move. They're fine. The Kings didn't make a move. I think they're fine as well. They're fifth in the West right now. I'm not too worried about them. The Pelicans didn't make a move as either. I think fully healthy, I think they're fine. They're seventh in the West. Any teams in the East? I mean, Cleveland's on a 9-game winning streak. They didn't really need to do much. Indiana didn't. I mean, Indiana traded Buddy Hield, but Orlando. I know Orlando was looking around for a point guard. They want some point guard help. They're a team that they're fine the way they are. They're a young team. They might make the play. Honestly, if I had to bet money, I think they do make the playoffs. They've been a good defensive team. They've been an awful offensive team the entire year. That's the reason why they're good, is just because they're a top 5 defense. But they didn't make any moves. I think that's fine. The Chicago Bulls. I don't get it. Chicago, I don't understand. You guys suck. You guys have all these players, all these veterans who like obviously want to win, but like you're just not good enough. You were good. You were good one time in the past few years. You were good right before Lonzo Ball got hurt. When Lonzo Ball got hurt, everything was over. And then you gave Zach LaVine a Supermax extension, and now you're looking to trade him. And he purposefully, you were talking about trading him to the Pistons. Then he was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to get season-ending foot surgery, so then you guys don't have to trade me. DeMar DeRozan's going to be a free agent. I'm surprised nobody tried to get him, or they tried to sell him. Nobody wanted Nikola Vucevic. For some reason, they want to keep Alex Caruso as if he's like the future of their franchise. Excuse me. I don't get it. They're a team that's in the middle, right? And you never want to be in the middle. You want to at least be a playoff contender or a finals contender, or like you just accept that you're going to be really, really bad. And like the Chicago Bulls, they're not as bad as like the Pistons or the Wizards, but they're not as good as Boston. They're not even as good as Indiana Pacers or the Miami Heat. And it's like, why aren't you selling your guys, getting draft picks? I don't get it. They're a team that's very puzzling to me. We'll see what they do over the summer, but if they want to be a middle team, let them be a middle team. But that's really all I had to. No one got Tyus Jones from the Washington Wizards. I thought that was surprising. Nobody got Dorian Finney-Smith from the Nets. I think a lot of teams could have used Dorian Finney-Smith. But yeah, that's our recap. If I had, like, again, no teams made significant moves. I don't think. Like, if I'm like let's say if I'm like the Miami Heat, I'm not really scared of anything that anybody in the East did. Maybe New York, because adding Bogdanovich and Burks was a really good move, but I don't see why you should be scared, to be honest. Same thing for anybody in the West. Like I don't think OKC is gonna look at what Phoenix did, adding Royce O'Neal and David Roddy, and be like, oh snap, we gotta do something. Like I think this trade deadline again all about adding depth. The thing I think we have to remember is some of the guys who got traded might not be in the playoff rotation. There's 30 games left in the season. These are when teams start to pick it up, especially when the All-Star break finishes next week. Teams are gonna start to pick it up and play really well. You're gonna start playing your playoff rotation to see who fits well and with who. So a lot of these guys might not be in a playoff rotation. So that's why I'm saying the other teams might look at these moves and be like, oh, this doesn't move me. This doesn't make me scared of this team. Give me any thoughts, comments, questions. Leave them down in the comments below. I definitely will read them if you guys leave them. But that's all for today. Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. The Super Bowl is today. Hey, let me know who you go for, Chiefs or Niners. Who you got? Me personally, these teams met 4 years ago. I feel like the Niners get their get back. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the Niners look at what happened in 2019 and then be like, we're not going to let that happen again. You know what I'm saying? So I think the Niners might win. That's what I got. Let me know who you got. And like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.